What can I say? I wear many hats. That's stupid. Look what I got. It's a mustache comb. Okay. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you watched my last video, you'll know that today is the continuation of the Pride Month celebrations. So last time we looked at Knock at the Cabin, and it wasn't necessarily a happy story to celebrate. It was heartbreaking, and it was sad, and it was also kind of trash. Go watch that video, it's fun. But today we're looking at the best gay superhero movie of all time, and I will die on that hill. And of course, we're talking about Catwoman, which is ironic because there's literally no gay characters in the movie. I've been meaning to make this video for a while because this movie has a very special place in my heart. It's loosely based on the DC Comics character of the same name, Catwoman, commonly associated to Batman, and she's like an anti-hero, starts off as a villain and then becomes a hero sort of thing. Look, I'm not too familiar with the character in the comics. I know that she doesn't have any powers, but in this book, they gave her cat-like powers, and they made her serve. So the movie follows Patience Phillips, played by Halle Berry, who is a graphic designer working for Halle Cosmetics. And one day, after witnessing some shady dealings going on with a new Halle beauty release, she's killed and then resuscitated by a magical cat who gives her life along with some cat-like powers, like walking on furniture, being afraid of rain, eating sushi like there's no tomorrow, and overall just being an asshole. And that's... And I don't know if you guys remember back then, but the movie got really bad reviews. It was named one of the worst movies of all time. Halle Berry was nominated and won the Razzie for Worst Actress, and her acceptance speech, which is very rare when an actor does that, but her acceptance speech remains the funniest moment, in my opinion, of any award show.
In my life thought I would be up here. And no, I don't have to give this back. It's got my name on it.
And I gotta say, I disagree with the Razzies Academy. I think Halle Berry did a great job. In fact, I think she did the perfect job. It's not her fault that people can't take a camp movie for what it is, a camp movie. What were you guys expecting? Oscar-worthy performances, Oscar-worthy special effects, Oscar-worthy screenplays. Come on. It's Catwoman. It's a woman. It's a woman that jumps around the walls and the roof like a cat. The poor reception of the movie can be blamed on cishet dudes who became the gatekeepers of superhero movies for some reason. But y'all, this movie was not meant for them. This movie was made for the gays and the girlies. Think about it. You have a strong, confident, independent, badass woman jumping across rooftops, stopping thieves, and unmasking an evil plan from a cosmetics company. Hello. We have Halle Berry serving pussy the entire time. And then, of course, we have Sharon Stone, the one and only. I mean, look at her. How can you not root for this bitch? Like, give us it. I don't know what it is, but she gave it to us. This movie truly deserves a renaissance because, I don't know, I just feel like it got a bad flack for no reason. People were just not ready for the vision, you know? And listen, I'm not saying the movie's perfect, far from it, you know? There's some evident flaws that could very easily be fixed, starting with that awful filter that they put across the entire runtime of the movie. But hey, if RuPaul's Drag Race Season 1 recovered from that, then why couldn't Catwoman? All they needed was a sequel. The potential is all there. Like, make another movie and then fix what was wrong with the first one. But instead, it kind of destroyed Halle Berry's career. And I think that was, this is my conspiracy theory, by the way. I think that was a deliberate plan by Hollywood because, in case you're not aware, Halle Berry in 2001 became the first, and to this day, only African-American woman to win the Oscar for Best Leading Actress. What the f***, right? It's crazy that in the entire history of the Oscars, only one African-American woman has managed to snatch that prize. And we all know that that is not due to lack of good performances from black actresses. We can all chalk it up to racism. But alas, between 2001 and 2004, she had some good roles. But then after Catwoman, her career took a nosedive. Like, it has not recovered to this day. And I think that's very unfair. I think she was kind of blacklisted because they just couldn't handle her power. And that is something I will never change my mind on. Also, I may be mistaken, but I think this was the first superhero feature film that had a black woman as its main character. So ahead of its time. People were not ready for the cuntification that was Halle Berry in those heels, in that full leather outfit with a whip, jumping from rooftop to rooftop. I mean, what can I say except, yes, give us another one, right? Like, this movie is gay rights. This movie is women's rights. This movie is the patriarchy. This movie moves mountains. This movie did something so incredibly powerful at the time that people were just not ready, okay? They were not ready, and anyone hating on this movie, you're missing the point. You're not getting the vision. And you know what? If you don't get the vision, then maybe it's not for you, and that's okay. Not everything is for everyone. But, as you can tell, I'm a huge super fan of Catwoman, and I think this movie deserves its flowers, and what better month to celebrate Catwoman than Pride Month? So, sit back, relax, get a snack, grab a drink, and let's talk Catwoman 2004. But before we get into the movie, make sure to follow me on social media. I am hella funny on Instagram, and my dogs are really cute on TikTok. Also, subscribe to my channel. What are you waiting for? Join the family, the Stutterers family, where no one stutters, apparently. And stick around, because after this very, very quick, short ad break, we're gonna get into the story and just explore the that is Halle Berry. All right, see you soon. So, the movie opens with a woman floating in a body of water and a voiceover by Halle Berry saying that it all started the day that she died, which coincidentally is the day she started to live. And then we meet Patience Phillips, played by Halle Berry, and she is a graphic designer working for Hader Beauty, Hader Cosmetics. And she's a pushover who wanted to be an artist and instead resigned to working on a practical job that she could apply her artistry to, designing ads for Hader. And we can see that she's kind of a pushover and just a people pleaser. She often can't sleep because her neighbors are noisy as hell. She dresses like she's a blind woman trying to rummage through somebody else's closet. And at work, she's just so meek and tiny and insecure that it's sad to see. Hader Cosmetics is owned by that French dude from The Matrix, playing George Hader, who is married to the high bitch in charge herself, Sharon Stone, who plays Laurel Hader. And Laurel has been the face of Hader Cosmetics for a long time, but now that the company is planning on launching a new cream, Bioline, she's stepping down so that a younger, fresher new model can be the new face of Bioline Hader, whatever. Because as we know, women over the age of 35 should never be seen in public, let alone in adverts. Patriarchy. F the patriarchy! So one day, Patience Phillips is at home, and she sees that this cat that has been roaming around her house is, like, on the edge of the building, and this woman is dumb. She tries to save the cat, right? She climbs on the ledge of this building, and then she's, like, climbing over an AC unit, and she's trying to get the cat that she doesn't know, and she's now about to fall off because she didn't think this through, and I've met a couple people that would totally do this for a random cat, and I gotta tell you, those people, don't mess with them. They're crazy. But other than that, I don't see why a reasonable human being would ever put their lives at risk for a literal random cat who probably has done this many times before, but she does. And a cop, Detective Tom Lone, sees her on the ledge of the building and tries to talk her out of jumping because he assumed that she was a jumper. And she was like, no, I was just trying to save a cat and the cat's gone. So the detective goes up to her apartment, breaks the door down like a man, and then pulls her in just before she falls to her death. And then they see the cat, and he's like, oh, I totally assumed that you were gonna off yourself. Turns out, don't judge a book by its cover. Not everything is as it seems. I am so sorry, Miss Ma'am, that I thought that you were crazy. And then she rushes off to work and drops her wallet or something, so he picks it up and goes and returns it. And asks her for coffee. Ooh, Patience and Tom sitting in a tree. Fucking. That's better. But before she can go on this date with dreamy Tom Lone, Patience has to finish this design because she's under a lot of pressure at work. Her boss, George Hader, is an absolute who likes to yell at people for no reason because he has a tiny, tiny penis and two really microscopic testicles. Couldn't find them if you tried. And because this is very dramatic, she has until midnight and then she stays late working. Then she can't find a messenger bike to carry her design to the headquarters. Anyway, eventually she has to go to the headquarters herself to deliver the designs because it's very late and the deadline is at midnight for some reason. And I always wondered, is that how it really works in the US? Like, is your boss just allowed to use and abuse you however he wants, and you just have to follow all of his orders or you get fired? Because in Europe, that's not the case, you know? They can push you a little bit, but HR is always there to crack the whip and whoosh, put him in place. So, US, what is happening? Hello? Trying to find someone to hand the designs to, she ends up overhearing a conversation between a seemingly worried scientist talking about the recent studies they've done on this new line of products that Hedera is launching, Bioline, and how it shows that it deteriorates people's faces, people's skin, and causes massive headaches. And symptoms only manifest if people stop using the cream. So it's like a poison that once you start, you can't stop. She's horrified, and they hear her eavesdropping, so she runs away. And she goes into these industrial pipes, and they flush her out. They flush her out, killing her. She's dead. Midnight shows up with his pussy posse, and he climbs on top of her and exhales green breath into her face, resuscitating her. And bam, she's now Catwoman. Yeah, that's right. Her senses are heightened. She sees things like a cat. She hears things like a cat. She walks back home and climbs back to her apartment like a cat. And the next day wakes up and she fell asleep on a cupboard because now she's a cat. She missed her coffee with the detective, and she didn't hand over the designs to anyone. But there's Midnight, the asshole cat again that she saved, sort of. So she finally decides to take Midnight back to his home, and who lives there but Miss Balenciaga herself, Frances Conroy. Turns out she has about 20,000 cats, and she seems to know more about Patience's situation than she should. Patience also discovers that she likes catnip. It's so funny, in this movie throughout, they just make her like catnip and sushi and hate Ray. They just make her do these very cat-like things that are so ridiculous in camp. I love it. She goes to work, and George Adair, the French himself, is chewing her ear. Patience now has less to give. Her personality is slightly changing, and she turns to him and is like, well, I'm sorry that I wasted this much time working for a useless piece of like you. Oh, she gets fired straight away, but the confidence is there. Having missed the coffee date with Detective Hot Stuff, she tracks him down to a school and gives him a cup of coffee with the word sorry written on the side. And they have this little basketball one-on-one game against each other with 2000s music playing in the background and just a bunch of kids cheering them on. And the editing is just so disorientating and confusing and just fast-paced. It's meant to make you feel like you're a cat, but it just makes you feel like you want to puke. So that's one of the details that you would change for the sequel. But the intention is there, and she wipes the floor with him. Period. Pussy power. Literally, pussycat power. Her newfound confidence continues to manifest itself when one night she decides, enough is enough, neighbors. Shut the hell up. So she goes over, destroys their sound systems, and tells them off. She then goes back home, gives herself a makeover, a nice haircut, then puts on a full leather outfit, steals her neighbor's bike, and goes on a hunt for jewelry. She gets to a jewelry store and interrupts a robbery that is taking place, and she's like, you boys couldn't take all these pretty things just for you?
What a perfect idea.
She's purring, and she's just climbing up the walls, and it's so funny. You can't help but root for her. Like, she is giving it to us. She is feeding the children. She's feeding them. So she steals a bunch of stuff, and then the next day wakes up and sees everything on her bed and is like, oh wait, did I steal all of this? It's very obvious that Patience now has a sort of an alter ego, right? Catwoman is her feisty side, her adventurous side, free from the rules of society, whereas Patience is the goody two-shoes who is still too scared and too in her own head to be a confident woman that she could be. So she returns all of the stuff that she stole. She drops it off in a paper bag with the word sorry written on the side. But she keeps a piece for herself that she's going to fashion into her own nails in the future. And you know what? Good for you, bitch. Good for you. I would have kept everything and sold it off on eBay, but you know what? Not everyone is as dishonest as me, so yeah. Good for you, Patience. Not breaking the law any further. So with her newfound powers and confused about what the hell is happening, she Googles magical cats and ends up finding Midnight's picture in some websites about like ancient cats and shit like that. So she goes back to Balenciaga lady, who tells her that ancient Egyptian cats work as messengers for the goddess Bast. Bast is the goddess of the moon and the sun. She represents the duality present in all women, both docile and ferocious. Kind of like Patience is now, her alter ego and herself. She also tells her that Patience died that night and Midnight resuscitated her, giving her cat-like powers in the process because he saw the potential in her, or like she was meant for greater things, whatever. And then she pushes her off the balcony to kind of prove that she's a cat. You're always going to land on your feet. It's so over the top, and this whole movie is just her serving. She also discovers she's not the first Catwoman. No. Many women before her came, and many other women have gotten these powers. It's like carrying on the tradition of independent, strong women who aren't going to bow down to the patriarchy's demands. And this is not just for the gays. Again, this is like a super feminist tale of use your power, believe in yourself. But this is Pride Month and I am a so we are focusing on the gays this time. Women, still love you, stick around, because without women, we would be nothing. Patience accepts her fate. You know what? She's just going to become the ultimate cuntification of Patience Phillips. An absolute knockout, oiled to the gods. Cat mask and the ability to jump from rooftop to rooftop. I mean, what else can I say? Look at her. Look, this almost made me straight as a kid. I remember watching this and thinking, f***ing hell, why is she so hot? And that was me, a little gay boy who loved musicals. Gay. Questioned his sexuality because of this woman. Damn. Halle Berry, I love you. Okay? If no one said that to you today, I'm saying it now. I love you. You're awesome. The world doesn't deserve you. F*** Hollywood. Do your own thing. I believe in you. Good. So, now that she's sex on heels, absolute knockout cat superpower boss bitch, she decides to investigate her own death. And she tracks down one of the security guards from the headquarters at a club, seduces him outside because now she has all of this sex appeal, and then gathers the information that there's something wrong with Beuline. And unfortunately, she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. She overheard something she wasn't supposed to, so they flushed her out to kill her. So she decides to investigate further. She goes to these headquarters and finds the scientist, the one that was expressing his concerns over the cream. He's dead. She finds him dead. And to make matters worse, a janitor just shows up at the wrong time, sees her there, and she manages to escape, but now the news reports are saying that she killed a scientist. Now, Catwoman is wanted by the police. Isn't it crazy how it's always a superhero being wanted by the police for no reason other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time? Meanwhile, Detective Tom Hotstuff sees the similarities between the sorry in his coffee cup and the sorry in the paper bag. So he gets them analyzed against each other by the calligraphy team, I guess. They notice that although they are similar, they were most likely written by two very completely different people. Like, one is very confident, assertive, and the other one is very meek, like a pushover, like Patience and Catwoman. Isn't it crazy? Anyway, Tom thinks because it's two different people, Patience is fine, and so, well, she is fine. She's really fine. So they go on another date. This time they go to a fair, and they get along really well. They're on the Ferris wheel, and they're about to kiss when suddenly... Tom's a detective, right? He's a man of the law, so he climbs down to try and stop that. Patience Phillips, the personification of puss energy, sees a boy about to die and saves him with no one's help. See, Tom, that's how you fucking do it. Useless cop. If it was up to the cop, the child would have died. Thank you, Patience Phillips. One night, Catwoman investigates the mansion of George and Laurel because, let's think about it. If there's something wrong with Beuline and they're trying to cover it up, then it's got to be George or Laurel, right? Well, most likely George because he's the owner and he's a man. So she investigates the mansion and is confronted by Laurel. She's like, what are you doing in my house? And she's like, well, I heard that something's wrong with Beuline and your husband's trying to cover it up. She's like, you know what? Yeah, I could totally see my husband being an evil piece of shit who wants to cover up some nefarious just so he can get another product out there. Anyway, here's his location if you want to, I don't know, go confront him or something. So she goes and confronts George at the opera, but security guard sees her climb this building from the inside. I'm like, ma'am, if you're going to climb in, just try and do it like subtly. But no, she doesn't. Anyway, she's confronting George, but the police get there before she can get any real answers, and she escapes. And then she has a little cat and mouse moment with the detective Tom, and she purrs in his ear and she evades his cuffs, and then she plants a big fat smooch on his cheek before escaping, evading the authorities once again. And then she has another date with a detective. She's spending all of her time now with him, both as Patience and as Catwoman, and we see her eat sushi. While I say eat, inhale, she's breathing in this fish like, ma'am, calm down. But she's a cat, guys, remember? She's a cat. And then later, they take refuge from the rain because, again, she's a cat. She hates rain. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And they end up kissing, and the kissing leads to sexy time. They sleep together. Good for you. God, you both deserve some fun. Some fun. During the night, Tom wakes up. I don't understand what it is about these movies that they always wake up in the middle of the night before the other one, and then they just end up leaving. It's always the same thing. Like, oh, just stay till the morning. Do it in the morning. Like, do it to the person's face. Anyway, Tom wakes up in the middle of the night, and walking around getting a glass of water, I guess, he steps on one of her nails, and he recognizes that as a piece of jewelry that was stolen from the jewelry store. And if the calligraphy test had given him some peace of mind, now seeing this has reignited the flames of his suspicion. So he takes this cup that Patience drank from to run some tests and compare the lip print on the glass against the lip print on his face from when Catwoman kissed him. And what do you know? It's a match. Yep, Patience is Catwoman. Meanwhile, Patience also wakes up. I don't know. I never wake up during the night. I don't know why these people are constantly waking up. Like, hello? Can you not sleep 8 hours in a row without waking up? Is that not, like, possible? Anyway, she wakes up, gets a call. Well, now I don't know if she woke up because she got a call or she woke up and then got a call. While she's awake, she speaks on the phone to Laurel, who calls her. She's like, oh, my husband is planning to release this on X day, blah, blah, blah. She rushes to George and Laurel's house because Laurel is in stitches, and that's when Laurel reveals her evil plan. Laurel gives her a monologue about how they are trying to get rid of her after all of the years she's given to this company. It's ageism, guys. Is this woman supposed to be too old to lead beauty campaigns? Are we on crack? She's being pushed aside because, again, over 35, you need to disappear. And turns out she killed her husband, left him with a bunch of scratches to mimic Catwoman's nails, and then sets the alarm off of this house. It's a really loud alarm. And then gives the most dramatic, over-the-top performance like, oh, my husband. Oscar right now. Catwoman, again, manages to evade the authorities because she's like a sneaky little cat. And when she gets home in the morning, oh, Detective Tom was there. That's not good. He later interrogates her, and she's in tears. She's telling him, look, you gotta believe me. I'm being set up. Catwoman didn't do any of this. I didn't do any of this. And he's like, well, all the evidence is pointing to you being the killer. And so she asks him, do you remember what you saw the first time that we met? And he's like, yeah, I saw a woman trying to save a cat. And she's like, no, wrong, incorrect. Listen up. You saw a woman about to jump off the ledge of a building. Turns out I wasn't. Despite all the evidence pointing to it, not everything is as it seems, and you have to believe me. I didn't do this. Laurel did. She's then in her jail cell, and she's visited by Midnight, who squeezes through these prison bars because he's a cat, and they're very limber and flexible, and they can squeeze through tiny little spaces. And that gives her an idea. Let me try and squeeze myself through these bars as well. And I remember watching this as a kid, loving this scene. I was like obsessed. I'm like, how the f is she squeezing her body through that? Her body. Again, at the time, I was too young to understand the serve that this is. But irregardless, she escapes the prison and steals a car. Fresh out of jail, let's commit more crimes. Meanwhile, Tom is actually torn by Patience's words. He's choosing to trust his friend. Well, he's trusting her because he wants to bump her later, but, you know, at least he's doing something good. So he heads over to Laurel to ask her a few questions, and eventually she comes clean. She admits it was all her, and then shoots him. Escalates very quickly, but he escapes. Catwoman is there, she foils the evil plans, and finally we have the showdown between Catwoman and Marbleface. So remember that cream that was going to deteriorate people's faces and give them headaches and potentially kill them that they were trying to cover up so they could release Bioline? Well, Laurel has been using a lot of it, and her face is like a rock. Earlier, before George got killed, he slapped her and he hurt his own hand, and she couldn't feel anything. And then when they're having the confrontation, she's like, "Yeah, Bioline does miracles. Look, I can barely feel it. It's like marble." And so Catwoman is like trying to punch her and slap her, but like nothing works because she can't feel any pain. So Laurel fights back, stabs her. Catwoman screams like a cat almost. It's so funny. Nonetheless, she's still running up and down these walls and doing all this crazy shit. She starts scratching Laurel's face a lot until eventually the outer layer of her skin kind of peels away to reveal a lot of damage to that skin. Ma'am, you gotta stop using Bioline because that shit's scary. That shit's scary! And Laurel catches a glimpse of her own reflection, and I think it's in that moment that she realizes, I shit the bed. And then she falls to her death and dies. That's it. And then Catwoman talks to Tom quickly, and he's like, well, if Patience Phillips were to be in her jail cell in the morning, then it would be an ironclad alibi. It would be impossible for her to be Catwoman, and she would be cleared of all charges. And what do you know? Catwoman finds her way back into that jail cell, and all is well with the world. Yes, Catwoman saved the day from an evil cosmetics company owner. In the end, she writes Tom a letter because, it's more romantic than texts, and she basically tells him that they can't be together because they belong in very different worlds. She tells him that in her past life, pre-death, she longed for someone to see how special she is. And he did that. And that's great and beautiful. But what she really needed was to see it for herself, to recognize how special she is. And she does, and she did. And unfortunately, can't be with Tom. And she goes back to being a leather-wearing, oiled-up goddess bad bitch. And the last shot of the movie is, so... And she's just walking along the edge of this rooftop like a bitch on heels, and yes. And that's it. Oh my god, guys. Listen, I know, the filter is jarring, and some of the scenes are quite disorientating because of the editing, right? And the script has some things, you could change a couple of things here and there, but the overall idea, Catwoman is a great movie. It set up so much for a potential sequel. It could have been so great. And instead they just, it's the story of a woman with no confidence in herself that is always following the rules and pleasing everybody else, who just finds the confidence in herself to be a bad bitch. And she spends the rest of the movie being a hot bad bitch. Hello. And honestly, if that is not a perfect allegory for the queer experience, and I don't know what is. Queer people grow up also people-pleasing and not being themselves and being very introverted and meek and quiet and whatever. And then when they get to adulthood, they're like, you know what, I'm going to be a and they become bad bitches. And y'all can't take it. Y'all can't take this. They couldn't take this power in 2004. They couldn't handle Halle Berry like this. I mean, what more do you need? A superhero with cat-like powers who doesn't follow rules, does what she wants, all while looking this. And even the supervillain, a woman scorned by her peers, cast aside for her age, with a wrinkle-free, hard-as-a-rock face, and a plan to bring super cosmetics to a store near you? Hello? And in the end, Catwoman doesn't stay with the love interest of the movie because she realizes that she only needs herself. Finding a partner, getting married, and all that lovey bullshit, no, that's weak sauce. She's gonna take on the world on her own. I still don't understand why people hated on this movie so much. Yeah, sure, it could get improved a lot. At the end of the day, it is kind of trash. Yes, it could be improved in a lot of ways, but I think that's also part of its charm. Let's not forget this was 2004. It was very ahead of its time, and also it sets up enough for us to work with for a sequel with a lot higher quality. And instead, they gave her a Razzie. Who out there is committed enough to play a Catwoman like this? Come on. This is the ultimate Catwoman, and unfortunately, the world was not ready. But you know what? One day, I think this movie will get its justice. And yeah, that was the best gay superhero movie of all time, with no gay characters in sight. But it doesn't matter, because it's not about having gay characters. It's about the feeling and the message it conveys. And Catwoman is awesome, and if you didn't like it, then I guess you have no taste. Good luck in life. Godspeed. And I think that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like this video, don't forget to like it down below, subscribe to my channel, comment, whatever thoughts you have right now, just let them all out. And if you didn't like this video, then I'm sorry, don't know what to tell you, can't do anything about it now, it's uploaded, it's out there in the ether of the internet, so better luck next time, I guess. Yeah, cool, great. And until next time, stay safe, stay sane, stay stupid, and stay stuttering. Also, go watch Catwoman. Give Halle Berry her flowers. She deserves better than this whatever treatment she got after the movie. She deserves better. All right, bye, guys.